I'm going live with the volume. Go for it, Art.
It looks like he froze.
Who froze?
Frozen 2.
Oh no!
Banged on you, yo.
The 8 at 9.
He banged on you. He was like, yeah, nah, I'm cool. I'm cool.
Oh man.
Rough.
Hit that beat.
Sean,
All
you
right.
got something?
I'm pressing the broadcast button right now. So, what's up, world? We are
Yo.
currently live right now, having technical difficulties. Our music man, our band DJ EvilOne crashed for some reason. So hopefully he can come back. But
Pay that cable bill, yo.
dude, we might as well just go for it, right? Start the show.
Yeah.
All right, folks, what's good, everybody? My name is DJ
Hey.
Geometrix, and we're back with another episode of the 9 at 9. So basically, the show always has 9 DJs, except for today. We're missing our EvilOne. 9 DJs on the panel, so we're discussing today's, DJ-related subject matters. This show is presented by Beat Refinery DJ School at Bach to Rock. If you want to learn how to mix, scratch, and make music, make sure to visit it at beatrefinery.com. So on tonight's agenda, EvilOne is going to give us the scratch tip of the week. He was supposed to tease it a little bit in the intro, but he's not here right now. But basically, he's gonna have that later. And since everybody has been live streaming lately, Sean J is gonna show us all his live stream tip of the week.
Yeah,
And finally, the main topic for tonight's show is how DJs can find new creative ways to supplement their income. Finding new ways to make money. So as always, let me introduce the rest of the hosts. We have DJ EvilOne. Where is he? We have
So good.
Sean J. And finally, we have Stylus Chris. So, all right, Chris, go ahead and take it away.
Yo, thank you guys so much for tuning in for another episode here. We have a very fun panel of guys that were dear to my heart in different ways. First, when we brought him back, we had so much fun with him last week. We asked Ryan to come back. He is Baltimore-based. He's a DJ. He's a creative. He's a photographer. He is influential, but not an influencer. And co-founder of the Night Brunch, a traveling food-inspired party. One half of the production crew, Alpha Pair. Give it up for Impulse.
Yeah. Woo.
And we stay in Baltimore for a minute. And this gentleman has been kind of a brand ambassador of the Beat Refinery, going to NAMM with us for the last 2 years, performing on the Roland booth with us. He's Baltimore-based mobile club DJ, owner of Nice Guys Entertainment, winner of multiple DJ competitions in Baltimore, Philly, and New York. Now runs his own competition in Baltimore, the Baltimore Blend Battle. And he's currently working on a new competition we're going to talk about later tonight, the Bedroom Blend Battle, which will be on Sunday, May 3rd of this year. What's up, Tim?
Whoa, what up, man? Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it. Yeah.
We're gonna travel up the 95 North Corridor for a minute to a gentleman who I've been pretty much since the COVID have been really tuned into even more than before, even though he's come down and DJ'd in DC at Heist specifically. But he's been DJing for 20 years. Next month, owns his own DJ booking agency in New York City called Downtown Talent. Put out thousands of edits over the year. Available for free on his website, and is also an ex-Apple employee and Mac genius. He's launched Cinch support and Mac service that helps provide IT solutions remotely via Zoom from home and small business users, as well as DJs, which right now a lot of DJs have been asking about how they can tune up their machines. And if you need a little bit more help, he's got a free Serato Pro webinar and Mac help tomorrow, Friday, April 24th, 4 p.m. Eastern. Everyone tuning in should be joining us for that. My man, CFLO. What's up, brother?
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah.
Thank you for all you've been doing. And then we take it across the entire continent over to the West Coast. These gentlemen we're going to introduce. This man, we were just talking about how he is a connoisseur of all things. He can do many multifaceted, talented things at once. I've seen it in the flesh. One of my favorite DJs. Co-founder of the Music Trust, owner of Portland hospitality nightlife places Tube, Fortune, Century, Revelry, and Maxwell. 22 years of DJing. One of my favorite streams to watch on Facebook Live the last few months. Give it up for EvilOne.
Yeah.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, all right. You should read my bio.
Thanks for giving it to me. And this guy probably is one of my favorite DJs to watch. I could seriously watch this dude DJ. I don't get to watch him enough. I love his flow. He is definitely a DJ's DJ. And when I used to have DJ Hut records, the first time I think I was ever encountered with this guy was when he came on a 12-inch to the store. And this man is a Philly native, Los Angeles resident, DJ producer, style guru, motorcycle rider, vintage enthusiast, coffee rules everything around me. DJ XL, what is up?
Yeah.
What up? What up? What up? What up? What up? What up?
Thank you guys so much for joining us. We're really appreciative of it. So let's start. Let's wrap with you, XL. What did you start off doing this week? What you been up to?
Oh man. The weeks have been pretty much the same pre-work. It's just I don't work on the weekends anymore. So, we're really fortunate that the weather's been pretty good here. So just trying to stay somewhat active. I don't sit inside well. I've been live streaming and working on music and working on new ideas for merch and stuff like that. And we've been cooking a lot. We've been washing a lot of dishes, so.
Cleanliness is next to godliness. Man. Got to keep the house clean.
Yeah. So, it's all good here. It's really just keeping my mind busy. I think the biggest issue is that we haven't been getting up early. We wake up at like 11 in the morning. So that's kind of late for us here,
Right.
And, yeah, man. For me, this is just a pause. It's not really a stop. So it's just using this time as wisely as I possibly can because, hopefully we never get this time again,
Yes. Let's hope.
Let's hope.
Yeah.
What's up with you, Eric? What have you been up to? I love that scenery in the background, by the way.
Everybody,
thank you.
EvilOne.
That's not a virtual screen. He's in his yard right now.
That's my backyard. Well, I have two small kids at home, so it's number one. I'm being a dad, so
Kudos to that.
It's been fun because otherwise I wouldn't get to spend time like this with my kids because I work all day while they're in preschool, and then on the weekends I'm either DJing or managing one of my spots. So I work a lot of hours during the week, and so this is kind of just like a whole new phenomenon of parenting and chilling and a couple times a week streaming. So that's like my one peek into the world where I connect with people around the country that I haven't seen in months or years. And so, yeah.
That's awesome, man. I definitely, when this first happened, you were one of the first people that my heart really went out to, knowing how many things you're juggling, how many places, and how many other people are in your direct circle affected, which is pretty.
Yeah, it was hard.
That's a lot to shelter in terms of emotion and not only the financial side of that. It's a big burden, but glad that you're strong and up to the task of doing that, and know that you'll pull through. And
thank you.
Seeing your positivity and all that you've been doing through that is definitely inspirational for a lot of us that are feeling the same way, and knowing that we got to just keep rolling, we got to keep on keeping on, as Sam Burns would say.
Yep.
And CFLO, you are an extremely busy guy. This week especially for you is about to be extremely busy. What's happening with you?
Yeah, at first when everything went in pause, I was keeping a little more optimistic on the timeline, thinking, it would be like 4 weeks or something like that. So the second that it kind of snapped for me that it was going to be longer, I started, I guess, instead of organizing just my immediate team of DJs, more like reaching out to more New York-based DJs to try to figure out how we can consolidate our voice to get like the unemployment stuff rolling before that was a clear avenue for us. Then after that kind of got solved, I kept with the momentum and kind of expanded back into helping people with their Macs online, remote with Zoom. coming in, doing screen shares, fixing stuff for people, and it's been an overwhelming demand for that. A lot of DJs downtime right now, people upgrading their computers or finally jumping to the new OS. Some people still having tech problems that, you know, they're unexpected. You know, everyone still on their computers all the time, especially all the work from home that's going on. So big results there, and decided to put a webinar on this Friday, which is tomorrow, 4 p.m. And we'll be going over Mac help stuff along with Serato Pro. I got some panelists. I'm bringing on OP from Serato, Nick Bike gonna help out with some Ableton stuff. Brett B is gonna fill in the gaps for some tech stuff, and then DJ Kaz is gonna moderate the Q&A. So I got some people helping me, and that's been taking up my whole week, is like organizing, basically like putting on a production. You know, I got an outline and a slideshow, and I'm demoing a bunch of stuff, and so it's just been kind of running through that and getting all the branding right.
Is that something that has been, you know, in your normal workflow, or are you kind of learning a lot of new stuff on the fly and just diving in and feeling yourself like in the cut?
Yeah, I mean, like I've always been good at helping people with Macs, but doing it from far away is definitely a learning curve, you know, where I'm like, just to get them on Zoom, I'm like, okay, well, you got to allow the security preference or whatever. Sometimes if they have to restart, we got to switch to FaceTime so they can restart the computer, and I can walk them through stuff like that. But no, I've done Mac stuff for, I guess, longer than I've DJ'd, you know.
Wow.
So, and I'm Apple certified Mac technician, and so it comes pretty naturally to me.
Oh wow.
And I haven't come across a problem I can't solve yet, which is good. So
that's good to know.
Yeah,
because I seem to find the problems that no one else can solve.
You know,
the computer magically comes up with something crazy that no one's ever seen before.
So far, the only ones that I haven't been able to solve was like, you know, when someone's legitimate, like it's broken in their computer. You know, like there's nothing you can do except for replace the component or replace the whole computer. Or one individual, he had his computer locked down. It was like a work computer, and it was so low level that like we couldn't get around it. You know, he was having trouble with like USB, trying to do OBS on his work laptop, DJ on his regular laptop, and we couldn't get the audio to go through. And finally, it was like revealed that it was in fact
Core 2 Duo.
No, it was locked in at like the firmware level. You know, there's no way you can do it. So,
oh man,
I think I could probably speak to at least a few of us on here that when we first started DJing, it was really as simple as hooking in your turntables, some speakers, your vinyl. The hardest part was like carrying your records or making sure that they all were in the right sleeve at the end of the night. And then it becomes like you have to have an IT degree to DJ anymore. And now you're in a point where it's like you're seeing guys on their live stream and they've got like branding over here and this, and they've got a green screen, they've got a crowd, they've got fire blowing out of their shit, and you're like, man, I can't even get my webcam to work, like let alone you have all these extras. You got I think someone was saying someone had like some go-go dancers in the background of one of their things, like one of their streams. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like you really had to have a degree on another level than music.
I bet
full-time DJing, part-time IT.
I bet As1 can attest to this. Like, you know, he's been with the school since like 2010. So I'm sure there's a lot of like older students that we had throughout the, through the program that didn't even know how to use a computer at first.
And part of it is a lot of tech work. You know, when people come to me for lessons, half of it is the tech work, getting them set up, getting their computers ready. And at the end of the day, I thought it was funny. You said that there hasn't been a problem or an answer that you couldn't. There's something a question you haven't been able to answer yet. And I feel the same way almost teaching, and in the sense to where like all the stuff, at least the people that come in on the beginning level, a lot of the thoughts or problems they might have had, I literally had thought, I figured it out 15, 20 years ago. So
right,
is like. It's to know that we have that information, you can walk around with it pretty confidently and just say.
Well, it's not only that; it's more like if there's something that I can't figure out, I'm not going to stop until I can. So I learn constantly, and I'm constantly figuring out. Oh, like I'm not happy until it's solved.
Right.
So,
It bugs you. You lose sleep because someone else's problem, and that's the type of guy.
yeah, exactly.
You are. Yeah, I get it.
Eric, speaking of some of the issues that you've had to deal with, all you have to do is follow you on Twitter to see the crazy antics of life that are happening, where you walk into one of your places and find all kinds of surprises. Like, both of your kids are out of diapers, right, at this point?
They are, yep.
Yeah, and then
it's glorious
to walk in and see that someone needed a diaper right in your front door. It's a whole nother level of problems.
It's really disheartening for sure.
What is
this story that you're talking about too, for those watching at home? Yesterday, my wife and I cruised down to like check stuff out, and she had to go into one of our spots, and she opened the door, and the mail slot is at the bottom of the door, like your standard retail storefront, and somebody had actually shit in the mail slot.
Oh.
Nice.
And I was staying in the car, luckily for me, because I had the kids, and they're not allowed to go into a bar even if we're closed. And so I was like, honey, do not step down. And then she like avoided that, and I was like, and there's a needle right there. And so somebody had like shit in the mail slot and then chased it with a syringe. And I'm just like, what the hell? Like, my landlords are like, yo, pay full rent. And I'm like,
Oh my god.
getting squeezed in every way. It's crazy.
Yeah, the sky's falling and the floor's burning all at the same time.
Exactly.
Oh my
So,
God.
That's rough.
But then, like, I get home and I get to be with my kids and my wife, and we're chilling, and it's hard, but you just got to like lean into the positive, like I said, and I'm getting to spend time with my kids that I wouldn't otherwise. So.
And she's becoming a fantastic MC, as we've been seeing a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, the reason people tune in is for my wife and kids, for sure.
Whatever you got to do. Tim, what's up, bro?
What's good, man? What's going on?
What have you been up to this week besides getting ready for this battle?
Getting ready for this battle. It was a unique position for me, man, because when the virus hit, I was a week away from the actual battle that was supposed to go down on Sunday.
Oh, wow.
So, we had to cancel it. So I'm just trying to find innovative ways to stay relevant. I've been doing a lot of tech work myself, but more on the PC side. I'm a staunch advocate of Serato on PC. So a lot of my people have been converting some of their musics over to using hard drive PCs. What?
Politically correct?
WMA files?
No,
or
it's
what?
not PC politically correct art. It's laptop computers.
Is that like Winamp, or like what are you guys doing?
Listen to all the jokes that come. You guys know.
But I'll send some people your way, no doubt.
Absolutely, man. Send them my way. I'm just trying to find ways to just stay relevant with. I've been doing a lot of mixed shows. I've been trying to find ways to just stay relevant, doing maybe live streams every week. Also, there are a lot of things going on online. I'm finding that people are starting to hire DJs for Zoom parties. So I've been picking up a couple of those as well, man.
Really?
So I'm just trying to do stuff to stay and people to see this face, this beautiful face.
Lovely.
It's actually kind of dope, Tim. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you got it, Sean.
I was gonna say, Tim, you actually have a background in computer support too, so it's like uniquely qualified that we've got a PC expert and a Mac expert in the same place.
Absolutely, man. I mean, I got a 9-to-5 too, man. So like my 9-to-5, I fix computers all day. So if somebody's coming at me with issues, I can still, handle those. A lot of the DJs definitely look for me to fix their issues, and I get a couple $dollars off of that as well. So man, it's been kind of working out, man. Just trying to find ways to keep some money in the pocket right now.
Now, Ryan, last week for you, we had talked about your kind of crazy fun weekend that turned to a weird trip to the hospital. What's happening this week? Tell me something good.
Listen, I'm happy to announce that she is back to normal, and she is enjoying a Truly in her room right now. So we're back in the game. We're back in the game. We're back in the game. So it was good. Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, the week, you know, the week is cool. I've just been really digging through. I sent like a barrage of text to X today. I just been digging through old hard drives.
Yeah.
So many good old photos and
Oh man.
Hey, do you find yourselves doing a little bit more with your sets now when you got some little bit more time to dig through some more music? You know what I mean? You know,
Hell yeah.
Not being just a regular, sometimes quote unquote jukebox, and you're playing your regular, you know, club sets. Now I'm like, oh man, I got this. I haven't played this in years, you know. So like, yeah, I've been digging, man. It's been kind of fun actually.
Yeah,
nice
for sure.
I haven't heard a Tyga song in 6 weeks.
I have not logged on to my record pools at all to know it, like I couldn't even tell you what like the hot joint is right now, and I think in a lot of ways
what's killing it in the club.
Yeah, and like I'm lucky. I have a gig that I do every week where I get to play like weird stuff all the time, funk, soul, and so for me, like my like stream that I'm doing on Wednesdays is pretty much the exact same stuff I'm playing at the club. So when I'm playing like crazy left field songs, that's pretty much what you would hear me play when you come to the spot. So for me, it's been like, you know, just an extension, and I just get to block out the weekend club stuff or like
that's a key.
Yeah. And you know, I've said it to Impulse and Art's come through a bunch of times to ESL on a Wednesday. It's like a reset for me where I can every week you just, if you have one thing I think all of us should strive for coming out of this is to have one spot every week that you play at where no matter who walks up to the DJ booth, you could be like, nah, no, this is my sanctity. This is a place where I hit the reset button every week, and almost use it as like your place that you can practice and be vulnerable. Like I'll allow myself to on the fly do a blend or try something I've never done. If I screw up, I'm like, I don't care. Like this is my home. This is where I want to do that stuff. Where
I live streamed the other day and I messed up and I stopped. Totally. I said, look, it's live. I'm sorry. So I'm not starting over, man.
Do it
live.
Oh man,
that's super real though, Chris, because like the value, like coming into this whole pandemic shutdown, the value of those reset gigs, I was just running myself ragged during the busy season. It was like maybe a month or two between having all the corporate events, the private events, and the club bottle service stuff before I got to play anything with soul. And it was like, man, I was physically feeling drained until that happened, when it was I could do whatever I want in my house. This is amazing. I love this.
And I will say though, I feel like and you guys, I'd like to hear what your guys' thoughts are, but you know, Ryan and I talk about this all the time. There's a younger generation that hasn't hit the club yet. That's like, I think because both Ryan and I have daughters that are young teenage girls, and the knowledge, and you know, not just because we're both DJ dads, but the knowledge of the music that these kids are learning through TikTok, through, it's not just the hot stuff. They're learning about Marvin Gaye. They're learning about old MJ records. They're learning about weird, like stuff that I'm surprised that they're hearing. I feel like there's this new wave coming up in like another 5 years that is going to bring back that ability to really be open with the music again, where I feel like the last 5 years has been a really stagnant crowd of people that want exactly what they want to hear, and they want to hear it now, and that's kind of all they do. I'd love to hear what you guys think about some of that, especially you guys that are playing all over the place.
The longer this goes on, the better in terms of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The audience is going to get more and more captive and get exposed to more and more stuff.
Agreed.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's definitely a big part of the culture that is entitled, you know, and I think it's just life in itself. You know, you got a generation or a couple of generations that grew up with people that they want what they want when they want it, and I think they're used to getting it, you know, and then I think it's up to us, you know, and I'm one of those people that, you know, I don't mind taking the request, but by no means do I stop what I'm doing, change direction for you just to please you, and we'll have a dialogue if we need to have that, you know what I mean? So we're both on the same page, and I also don't have a problem not playing the record, you know, if it doesn't fit, it just doesn't fit, because I think there's definitely bigger picture to keep in mind. And for me, because when I'm playing, there's still an expectation of what I'm going to play and how I'm going to play. So if I have to go left field, it still needs to make sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if all else fails, then you just got to come with some real loot. That's all.
Yeah.
Come up with money, then
Open up that
and
tip
another
jar.
way- the quick way I like to people, it's like, speaking of entitlement, you have your clients or the party goers who are pretty entitled. They're drunk and they're hyper entitled almost. But then they come up to someone like you, and let's be real here, as humble as I can be, we're also entitled. I'm like, yo, I'm the DJ, dude. Like, I walked in here wearing whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I didn't have to wait in line. We're also entitled. So just to explain to people, like, that's kind of the match that's happening, when people are like, oh, DJs are dickheads. And it's like, no, you got to approach just someone like you would want to be approached. And that's the best way to get through me.
What I've found in traveling, to answer your question, is like, I noticed that different markets, it's definitely a different level of expectation and entitlement. And I feel like, especially when I go, like I live in New York, and when I play in New York, what I've noticed with the younger kids, like when I say younger, I mean like 21 through 26, they seem to be very entitled everywhere else that I go, and in New York too. But everywhere else, if they don't get what they want right then, they're gonna like stop dancing. Like they're gonna stop fucking with you at all. But in New York, because 30 is the new 20 or whatever, the whole crowd skews older. Just at most of the open format Lower East Side bar clubs, wherever, you have people through like 38, 40 still going out in that same capacity. And I noticed that when the 21 through 26-year-olds don't recognize a record, but all the older people are fucking with it, that they feel out of the loop maybe, and they will be more accepting and more open to it in that market.
Yeah.
True.
There was always that trick that if you had 5 or 10 of your boys at the club with you, and you knew you played a joint that most of the people wouldn't know, but if they were like, oh, then everybody be like, oh yeah, I know this joint. And no one wants
Everybody
to be left
succumb
out,
to peer pressure.
And
Hell yeah.
Like if you play a classic Mary J. Blige record, and it's moving all the people like more in our demographic, in other markets that wouldn't matter because those people aren't necessarily going out. But
right.
I've seen younger folks in New York dance along, where other markets they might not.
Yeah, I think also New York is a place where culturally people tend to have a little bit more openness to not the norm. And when I used to live in New York, it was always that vibe that you could go and you would find the good parties like on every corner, where there would be you just be so impressed with the music knowledge of just the average club goer in New York just knows a lot more about music in general. I think some of it is also the radio stations there still allow the mix show DJs to go back to play classics, to play things that are more open to a bigger market. And it's a unique place. Also, I think, and Eric, I'd love to hear your perspective on that. In Portland, I think in certain towns, people, especially if a place that has its own true identity, you have places where people are a lot more appreciative. I used to go to some smaller towns to DJ, and the people there just will appreciate the music and you being there a lot more than other bigger.
For sure. I think Portland's not that place. I've definitely been to places where it's like that, all over the Midwest. It's they show so much love and are just the DJs coming through. Let's see what they do. In Portland, we didn't have a hip hop radio station until almost the year 2000. So the whole 80s and 90s, there was no just turn on the radio in your car and get exposed to stuff. So we're behind, for sure. And I think here, the younger generation, because we don't necessarily have local rappers that have blown up pre Amine, we worship the Bay Area here. So it's if you're playing hyphy shit here, you're good. That's Portland is the Bay Area North in that regard. So it's kind of frustrating as when you want to be able to play more all over the place stuff, because people definitely gravitate to that.
Yeah, I think
Excel knows, Impulse knows, Coleman knows. Yep. They've all been out there where it's like, you know, you're like, I'm out of town, dude. I'm gonna come in here and like really like blow their heads off, and it's like, no, they want to hear YG, and like
they do like YG.
It's just like Cali hip hop. We're just like an extension of that. Which, when we break away and start our own country of Cali, Oregon, Washington, you know, I'm with it.
I think
might be sooner than we all expect too.
No doubt.
I think a lot of it has to do with the younger generation as well. We deal with a lot of younger parties here, and what I see is that the young people, if we play the current stuff, they're good. But even if we go maybe a year back, then they look lost, like deer in the headlights. And I think a lot of that also has to do with the music. Some of the newer music doesn't have the lasting power that older music had. You know, we had tracks that we played, hip hop tracks that were timeless. Some of this newer stuff out, you can't, it's 9 of us in here. I'm sure you guys can't count 9 songs from last year that you played that were hot.
Very much disposable now.
Yeah, the music is totally disposable.
Because they're, you know, like labels and the artists, they're pumping.
Absolutely, man. And if you're not on top of that, then, you know, with these younger crowds, and, you know, they think you're whack.
Well, I want to kind of push back on that idea because I'm really interested to see how, now that we've got like 5 weeks in the bag of being isolated, and the only way you can get access to new music if you're not in our space of being a DJ and paying attention professionally is TikTok and YouTube memes. I'm curious to see if the younger generation is going to connect with that stuff because they have a context connected with the songs that's like, hey, this meme is not just associated with this thing, but I also saw Questlove play it on his Instagram feed and things like that. I really am hoping optimistically for it to kind of be a change of the tide. But what do you guys think of this being a moment that allows people to connect deeper with music than they didn't before?
Whoa.
Not everyone at once.
I don't know, man.
Super real.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, it is contextual, right?
Yeah.
Like all of it, even the stuff that I like it because of the context, right? It like speaks to you, it resonates with you because whether it made an impression at one point or what, it speaks to you at some level. So yeah, hopefully if some older songs can speak to these TikTok. I mean, I've never been on TikTok, so I don't even know what goes on there.
You would kill it on there, dude.
But you know what it is? It's like when you watch movies and shows now, it's almost like
I like Netflix, and you know,
I was in a class and I was working on music, right? We're showing Ableton, and he was like, "What do you make?" And I was like, "I don't know. Here's something that I made last week." And I pulled up this beat that was Beyond the Sea, basically Bobby Darin. And I tried to remix it, and it came out first as a house beat, and then it turned into a trap thing. But then I let him hear it, and thinking that the kid wouldn't know it. And this, I'm speaking of he's 13, 14. He hears the sample, even though it's sped up and whatnot. He goes, "Oh, this is the Finding Nemo song," and you know, and it's
there we go.
He connected with it because it was in the movie. It was like the main song.
Sparked up some nostalgia, you know.
Like, you know what I'm saying? And then like even 4 years ago, I guess it took me over 15 years to come up with a routine like this. I came up with the CNC music juggle, the Everybody Dance Now. And apparently that juggle became everybody's favorite because people were like, "Dude, my son loves that routine. All my kids love it," because it was in some fucking movie. I don't know. Something that just came out that kids were all into, you know, and you know, it's all about connecting. So like with TikTok, they're seeing a song that all their friends are into, but then it's got a dance to it as well. So the kids are doing a dance to it. And then all of a sudden you look on the internet and you see some strange person to them. To us, it could be Questlove, and then Questlove is doing the dance. You know, like it just kind of spreads all over.
Well, yeah. I hope
and you have to play those.
Go ahead, Ryan.
You have to play. You have to play those songs. So when the kids are doing these dances, they're not only playing them. They're playing them like at halftime to learn the dances, and then they're playing them over and over again to learn the dances, and then their friends. So by the time they're finished, that song is so embedded in their head that it's going to be with them.
He's watched.
It's going to be with them forever.
But is Renegade still a thing?
Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
I haven't heard it in a month.
See, the funny thing is that song never really did anything for me in the club. It really just existed on that app, you know what I mean, for that dance. But like, no one ever came to ask to hear any of that stuff playing in the club. I think, you know, the fact of the matter is the classic records from every generation are always going to be classic. Obviously, those records are not going to die, you know, and I don't think classic music is going to be in the forefront of everything, but I think that kids, young adults, you eventually grow into that music, right? Because I'm sure most of us, if not all of us here, we understand and we kind of get down with all the current music, but we also have an appreciation for all the classic stuff that we love, right? So, you know, whether you, being the younger person, learn it from your parents, because obviously your parents aren't listening to that. And a lot of the music that came before my time, I learned through my mom and through my dad and all that. And, or you learn it through a movie if you're that young. And, you know, I think every generation has a basket full of terrible music, because Grace and I were talking this past week, and she told me a story of how she bought this Club Hits CD back in the day that was supposed to be all the club hits, and some of the music was good and stuff that we know, Too Unlimited and stuff like that, but there was some stuff on there that was just straight garbage that I've never heard before, right? And that just kind of cleared things up a little bit for me too, because I'm like, man, we only remember the good music from back then. We don't remember all the terrible music that came out back then. And I think, you know, with all the current music that we have, there's so much terrible music to us. Of course, the question is what's going to last, because everything seems so disposable. But eventually you grow out of that music. You know, you just can't relate to what that music is saying anymore, you know, and then you pull the hits and whatever winds up being your wedding-friendly, corporate-friendly hip-hop music, you know? Yep. And all the other stuff just kind of falls to the wayside, and then you incorporate that with a newer group, you know, with more older music, which is new for them, but you can't deny the fact that just dope music is dope music, you know?
I think one thing you touched on that was really important, that I don't think it shows enough light anymore, but almost everyone on our panel here, we had our parents in the car, and it was like, you're listening to my music and shut up. And now the kids have their own devices. They have their own ways. So like, kids are in the back with their own iPods on. They're not forced to listen to the parents' music anymore, which creates a big disconnect with that when that started happening, to where when people could tune out of their own parents, maybe like 15 years ago with first generation iPods and Walkmans and like, where, you know, if your parents were rocking Motown, you're listening to Motown growing up, you know, and you're knowing all these records, and then now it's just like, you know, shut up, Dad, I don't want to hear your music. And, you know, we always have a rule in my car. It's like, you get one of your songs, you have to listen to 3 of mine. And then you can have one.
Nice.
And then you
Hey, listen, my parents hated the stuff that I listened to, you know, and that music was nothing compared to the music the kids are listening to now. And I always had a Walkman on me as well. It's just, you know, I didn't know it then, you know, like when I would have to listen to what my dad wanted to listen to in the car, I was okay with it because I didn't have a say in the matter. But I didn't know later on in life, these are records that I would be using in sets that I thoroughly enjoy. I mean, listen, it goes even greater than that, because when I was, say, like, you know, I got into DJing in 91. So I was around 11, you know, and outside of your Eric B. and Rakim, like 87 type rap music, I thought all the early 80s stuff was super corny, you know, like Spoonie G and all, you know, just the Grandmaster Flash, like the Hey Baby Bubba, like I couldn't get down with it because it didn't relate to me. But then as I got older, I started to appreciate that stuff more and be like, yo, this stuff was really dope, because I could take into context everything that it was and how they were creating that music back then. But I mean, even as far as me being in my early 20s and listening to Rev on the Wake Up Show, he would always play like 80s stuff. And I'm like, yo, why are you playing this? This is terrible. This is corny. Like, just put another Black Moon record on or something. and this is the one thing, you know, you're never done learning. You're never done expanding your vocabulary when it comes to music. There's absolutely records that I would not be fond of in a certain point in my life that I wound up really loving later on in life, you know? And I think I have that, you know, I have that same hope for people that come to the club, you know?
Yeah.
Obviously, you know, if you're 22 and are stoked on a Tiger record, like, I don't think 10 years from that point, you're still going to want to hear that same record. I think you grow into other music and you just find things that, you know, you didn't even know existed, or it didn't work in that time period, you know? So
Yeah,
definitely.
Street Player was that record for me. I would hear that shit in my dad's car. He would be bumping. He'd bump disco, and my mom would bump like soft, like Sade, like smooth jazz and stuff. And yeah, Street Player. I just remember like when I connected with that record, playing it out, and just knowing how I wanted to deliver it.
Definitely,
and connecting with it as a kid, just hearing it over and over again, like what the fuck are these?
Definitely.
Hey,
Well,
I remember my parents playing Christopher Cross.
Yeah. Oh.
Hell yeah.
And Ride Like the Wind. I mean,
baby.
I used to stick my head out the window when that song used to come on.
Well, and you know, one thing that's interesting, Impulse, that you're or Excel, that you were saying is like, I think also all of us that have like a producer's mind too, a lot of times you'll hear a record that you've never heard before and it came out in like 73 and you hear it and you're like, it's all right, because you're thinking in the mindset of what you're trying to create at this time. And then like the sounds change and you evolve, and then you come back to that record 7-8 years in your collection, you're like, what? This sample, I never even I went right over it 10 years ago.
I mean, I was closed-minded when I started spinning, man. You know, like if it wasn't like Beat Miners, Pete Rock, Primo, or like RZA, I didn't even want to hear it.
I mean,
you know,
that was indicative of the time too, because then you bought what you wanted.
Right. And even moving forward, you know, when I got into like working in club music, or like working in the club or working in radio, I only really was concerned with music that I could use. You know, like I didn't really listen to music like I do now. You know, I would drop needles on stuff, and if I didn't think I could use it, then it wasn't worth anything to me at the time. So building my record collection was just records I knew I could take to the club and play, right? And then eventually, I don't know, I just got to a point in my life where I was like, you know what, I want to go back and listen to albums straight through and find records that maybe I looked over, or just things my ear didn't hear back then, you know? And I started to just enjoy music from a different perspective, you know what I mean? So, yeah.
Ryan,
I think it's something you're just always learning.
When I hear Ryan play, when I hear Impulse play, I feel like a lot of times you play album cuts more than any DJ I hang out with, where I'm just like, but it's not like, oh, it's a random album cut to be like obscure. It's like an album cut that you were like, why didn't they make this a single? You know, and it sounds so good right now, and it's like a testament to your taste. But you know, speak on a little bit of that for a second, of like what, you know, about right now.
About just playing like different shit.
You know, just like everything we're talking about with music and how it affects, and how you take that approach sometimes of knowing, like, I've watched you so many times play where the crowd is like, you're not necessarily trying to play for them, but you're also trying to remind people that this was a good song and you just forgotten about it. And I see that kind of come back, and even like when, you know, we have our DJ nights where we have a bunch of DJ nerds in the booth with us, and you'll play a song and everybody's like, you could see on their faces like, I can't believe I forgot to play this song for the last 10 years.
Give us an example, Chris. Let's see if you're
Harry Hodder too. Impulse,
Harry
Hodder, and Stylus Chris. Those are my guys, man. Every time I come see y'all,
Encyclopedia is all three of y'all. Yeah, man.
I get hyped, bro.
Especially
That's
Harry.
why I come out.
God damn.
Nerds. Hey, Art, is everything set up for you to do your little thing, Mr. Nerd himself?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
We're gonna do the scratch thing.
Yeah. Let's do. Okay. Yeah. So hopefully, yes, all this is a blessing in disguise. You know, hopefully everybody learns some new music, learn about like rediscovering classics, and hopefully DJs are actually learning from other DJs, learning new music. But right now, hopefully, everybody during this pandemic. Hopefully, everybody's learning a new skill, new techniques. Getting their DJ game a little bit better on the technique side. So right now we got a first edition segment here. It's gonna be as one scratch tip of the week. So everybody on the feed, if you want to join the chat here on Zoom, make sure to hit us up on bit.ly/the9@9. The link is on the stream. So if you want to join the chat on Zoom, join us here at bit.ly/the9@9. Again, that link is right on your screen if you're seeing this on Facebook, Instagram, and on YouTube. But yeah, we have coming up next. We have as one scratch tip of the week. You ready?
Yeah, I think I'm ready.
All right, go ahead.
Well, what's up, guys? As one here. This is my setup. Quick scratch tip of the week. This is not necessarily like a beginner technique or a crazy advance. It's more of a general way to think about how you're going to go about stuff. Luckily today we have the scratch mechanics with us here, so hopefully I don't ruin this too much. But shouts to those guys and shouts to everybody. So like I said, we're going to talk about variable speeds of doing something. So to be able to say you can do a scratch and say that confidently that you have it dialed in, you should be able to do it at variable speeds, slow, medium, fast pace, kind of different BPM. So I'm going to do it all a cappella, but in one way you could practice 2 different BPMs, but just to show the a cappella version. And essentially this is kind of where you want to get. I'm going to start with an example of the chirp scratch here. Okay, so the chirp scratch is 2-hit combo, and we should know it to be an open fader scratch as well. And when I go forward with the record, I also cut the crossfader off, cutting the forward sound with the chop. Let's turn that off. Sorry, here we go. And then we mirror that and just come right back. So nice and slow. Doesn't sound like much when you do it slow, but if you could really break it down like a robot, that'll help you mentally understand what's going on. The next thing is to figure out your muscle memory. So again, let me just quickly do it. I'm gonna do them slow to fast. And slow to some fast speed variations there. And to do another example, maybe a more advanced scratch, this I'll try to do the delayed 2-click flare. All right, so for this sample, we're going to go ahead and start in the middle of the ah. All right, so it's basically instead of a 2-hit combo, we're jumping straight to an 8-hit combo right now. So it's baby, 2-click back, baby, 2-click forward. So you're kind of swinging it. It goes. All right, so I'm going to do it slow to fast. There we go. Slow to fast, delay 2-click flares. A little sloppy, but you guys get the point there. All right. Also, I don't know if you guys, sorry about, I missed, my internet cut off right in the thing. Did we want to keep this moving here? Or did
no,
you guys
explain why you got cut off. Just internet.
My internet cut off. Literally,
that's all it
the
is,
guys
right?
were like, Art, you're going live in 10 seconds. And then I'm like, sweet. I'm like, check my hands. And then next thing I know, my window drops out of the thing. And then my Zoom just cuts off.
56K modem, baby.
Yeah, I had
to go back up.
I had to go
Get
reset.
a dial back in.
I had to reset the router. So you guys missed my intro. Did you guys want to see the intro now? Or?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah?
Get him, son.
All right.
You've got mail.
Yo, call up Al Gore. Tell him this thing ain't working.
Welcome.
Here we go.
Let the music diffuse all attention. Now let's get it. Let's get it. Now let's get it. Now let's get it all in perspective. Let the music diffuse all attention. Now let's get it all in perspective. Let the music diffuse all attention. Now let's get it. Like we bringing 88 back. Like we bringing 88 back. Y'all appointed me to bring. Y'all appointed me to. Y'all appointed me to king of the town. Y'all appointed me king of the town. Yeah. Yeah, I've been there. You know I click, clack, click, clack, click, clack, clack. You know I click, clack. Where you when your men's at? You ain't even in me class up. Let the music diffuse all attention.
Woo!
Yeah.
Yeah,
man.
Hell yeah.
Dope.
That was dope, man. Hell yeah.
Nice work.
Any final
love
words
that
on
drop
that?
so much.
As one, any other final words on that crazy tip?
The crazy tip. Yeah.
Yeah, just go do that, kids.
No pressure.
The main thing to focus on that is it's okay to practice a combination super slow, especially like, where it doesn't really sound like much. You want to be able to break down all the notes so your brain can wrap around it. But once your brain can understand it, you apply the muscle memory technique. But again, start slow, and I promise you, once you get something slow, you'll be able to just move faster with it. But again, practice on different BPMs as well. So the same scratch over something 80 BPM, 95, 100, 110, 120, whatever, just kind of throw yourself curveballs by doing things like that.
Anybody in the panel who scratches want to give their take on the chirps scratch or even the delay too quick?
Oh, sucked. My chirps.
I've been on the chirp a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
Impulse is a chirp machine.
If you guys are looking for guys that
Talk your
Bird
shit.
machine.
chirp really well that I look up to, look at guys like Impulse. His chirps are super smooth, super buttery.
Yeah.
Also, we have Papa Chirp, aka DJ Rags. The music feed. Papa Chirp.
That's my two favorite scratch DJs in the whole world right there.
ID had a mean chirp as well, bro. Like power style. He had a power scratch chirp, man. Like super. What's it called? But yeah, like Impulse's chirps are super funky.
Excel's gross with it too.
Excel too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Excel and Sat One.
Yeah,
Which
and
is,
again, Sat
Jesus
One.
Christ.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. And it's cool because that technique is something that like a lot of people can do, but you can kind of tell who's doing it a lot of times if you're keen to who's behind the decks or who's on that night, and you hear it and you're like, yo, Impulse is on. Let's go.
But the unique thing about hip hop culture in general, whether you're looking at a b-boy, whether you're looking at an MC, a DJ, graffiti, it doesn't matter. Like you could look at something that's crazy intricate in all those techniques and be like, yeah, that's kind of ill. But the things that truly grab, I think, most people are the things that just are so funky and so musical and so just bring that joy out. And it doesn't always necessarily have to be so down a rabbit hole of intricacy to just still be so musical. And I think that's the gift of guys like Excel, Impulse, Rags, ID. They always keep it musical first.
Right.
And it's always it's like the dude on the diving board that's always gonna come in with the clean, no splash.
Yeah.
Like he's not gonna try the 4.8 difficulty if he knows he's gonna belly flop. And he's gonna keep it at that like 4.1. And it's gonna be butter. And that's go ahead. Yeah.
X and I always talk about this too. It's like man, we hate our scratches. You know what I mean? Like we've heard them so many times. So it's like every time we try to learn something new, we just go back to the old ones, but we've perfected those old ones to the point where they're you don't even have to think about it, and they're always funky. Like he can do cuts that I'm just like, yo, I still don't know how you do that. That goes for a lot of my friends, but I'll sit there and chirp for 5 minutes straight, you know. But
it's so.
But if I go to learn one extra thing, I get like Bell's palsy. I start drooling down my face. Like,
well, that's what the sessions are for. That's what the sessions are for. Really get better at just. Yeah, shout to Westside, bro. Yo, Griselda.
Yeah, hell yeah. Oh my God.
Man, praise to them. Real quick, if I could, I forgot what I was gonna say, but since we're highlighting the scratch mechanic guys, if I can tell a quick story. So the Beat Refinery crew, especially Chris and myself, we've been to NAMM the last 4 or 5 years in a row.
Yeah, at least like 5
years. Yeah.
Something like that. So like maybe 3 years ago, I get to the Beat. These guys weren't with me. I was running Dolo. I get to the Beat Junkies after party at the Dave & Buster's. So naturally, I end up near the bar, and I go outside where the smokers are, and I see Lord Finesse, and everybody's looking at him like he's Lord Finesse, right? And I actually know him, so I walked up. I'm like, "Yo, what's up, big bro?" And he looks up, real slow, and he goes, "Yo, what's up, Az? What's good, bro? Yo, can you do me a favor? Can you take some pictures of me looking here fly and whatnot for my lady?" And I was like, all right, cool. He gives me his camera. And I start taking pictures of Lord Finesse, like on a stoop, just like, picking.
You got the
and
camera.
Then he grabs his phone and he goes, "Yo, you take good pictures, Az. Yo, you want a drink? Let me introduce you to my friends." So we go to the bar and he goes, "Yo, Davey DMX, this is Az1. Yo, Az1, this is Russell Peters." And next thing I know, I'm at the bar with these guys, and I'm sitting there, and Russell Peters is looking at me, and he's like, "Where you from, man?" And I'm like, "Maryland, like D.C. area." He's like, "What do you do?" He was like, "You're a DJ?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm known in like the battle scene, but you know, I do clubs and stuff." He was like, "Oh, you battle, huh?" He was like, "Yeah. Oh, I know you, Az1 from Maryland. Like, you did gong battle and stuff. You know that I'm a scratch mechanic, man. Let's battle, bro." And he was, and naturally, I came up with Impulse. So I was like, "Yo, you know Impulse?" He was like, "Impulse Excel? Yeah, those are the homies." And you know, it was just one of those moments where I was like, "Holy shit!" I just like had a connection with Russell Peters through these guys. and
Russell's amazing, man.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, shouts to you guys because he was bigging you guys up, man, and I know
Word.
There. So
yo, I was like 10 feet away from you. I had no idea that whole thing happened.
No, not this past year. It was a couple years ago.
That was like 2 years ago.
Yeah. It was done quick. It happened real quick, man. Like, you know, and I didn't bug out. I wasn't trying to pull my, you know, be all weird or nothing. I was just, you know, going with the pace, but moving through its paces. But it was a funny incident, to say the least.
You just be lucky you took some good pictures for Lord Finesse, or he might have.
Oh yeah.
I'll never forget that. You take good pictures, Az. I'm like, oh, cool. I think your phone is like the does most of the work, but cool.
Oh my gosh.
You're an Instagram boyfriend though. That's why.
I wasn't gonna say
Yo, hell yeah.
Boyfriend. Yeah, I can't front.
Oh my gosh. So Coleman, you have been incredibly active and busy with so much kind of IT and development that you've been doing. Have you been able to spit in any creative time in that? Is there any bit of like actual DJ or production part of your brain getting turned on right now?
I actually haven't live streamed yet. And truthfully, over the past like 2-3 months leading up to the shutdown, I was feeling really burned out, which, you know, I mean, everyone here DJs every weekend for years and years and years. And so those phases, at least for me, come, you know, be with years in between sometimes where, you know, all of a sudden you're like, I mean, once I'm there and I'm DJing, I have I love that. I'm never not going to love that, but it's more like, you know, where you're like, oh, I don't want to go to work right now. You know, that feeling. But if you know, when you get caught doing the same clubs and I was pretty uninspired by some of the new music, and then like you were saying, you get sick of your own routines. You know, you're like, okay, I know this is gonna work. I know this is gonna work, and then all of a sudden you're caught in a trap of like a creative. You know, you're creatively dried out if you're not willing to deviate. Because I'm my own biggest critic. Like if I know the next one's gonna rock, why would I do something less than that? So no, I'm trying to use this break as a nice change of pace. Like I was saying before we went live, I've had one drink in a month compared to, you know, drinking every weekend working, and just it's been a really wild change. But I'm trying to use that to refocus my efforts in other ways. And I'm super busy all day, and I'm working on this stuff. And it's you know, like I thought I'd be playing video games every day. I was really stoked. Instead, I'm like still working just as hard, just on other stuff.
I mean,
I'm waiting for Kramer to pop through the door.
Yo, I'm
I know,
sorry.
No.
I'm tripping. I didn't even realize it until I just saw like the cutout of your head for a second. I thought that was your living room the entire time, and I was like, "Yo, it's the Seinfeld living room."
I thought that was his house, man. I'm like, oh.
I'm bugging.
Like, wow, this guy set his house up to look just like the Seinfeld house. That's pretty cool.
Dedication.
He's a true fan.
That's a curator
No,
right
but
there.
to answer your question, like I've been spending the last 2 years really heavily investing in my agency and all my effort. Like CFLO has taken a backseat to Downtown Talent. Like I look at that as the future of my career, and CFLO I've been working on for so long and putting everything in that, like I kind of feel like I've reached a lot of the goals that I set out to do. And there, you know, over the years, especially with like when I'm younger, looking at the possibility of all the traveling DJ work, that ceiling has lowered over time. The rates have come down, and venues around the country that used to book out of town DJs aren't booking out of town DJs anymore. And I've reached a level in my market that if I hadn't, I'd still want to, but I have reached it. And so I'm not really looking, at least locally in New York, there's nothing I really want to get into actively. I mean, there's some cool ass parties that I'm not involved in that I would love to play, but I'd rather put my energy into my agency where I can bring up a team around me and get other people to work and maybe not be in the club till 4 a.m. one day, you know, and I look at that as the future. So when that dried up instantly, along with my own DJ opportunities with the shutdown, I had to look at something else that was scalable.
Right. No, that's a wise move. I mean, it's the adapt or die mentality is certainly alive and well right now, and teaching all of us whether if you're in any kind of field that has been affected heavily by this.
Well, I've got something coming tomorrow that I'm going to announce at the end of the webinar. So I do encourage everyone to register, tune in, and you know, you'll get all the links you need on the follow-up registration
plug it up.
too.
Okay.
Nice. Yeah.
Where can everybody sign up?
It's it's in the link in my bio on Instagram at DJ CFLO. I've been tweeting out a bunch, so it's on my Twitter feed. I could like read the bit.ly if you want. You know, I think it's bit.ly CFLO-Mac help.
Pretty straightforward.
We'll just hit his IG.
Right.
Hit his IG profile.
We'll just hit the link.
Yeah, it's in my
Swipe
bio
up.
on Instagram.
Click the link in his bio.
4 p.m. Eastern.
Blow
and,
it up, man. Blow it up.
Yeah.
No, I'm just looking forward to sharing. Okay, so what it really was is I was doing Zoom help with a lot of people coming into their computers, and after about like 50 or so individual separate DJs, I'm seeing how everyone lays out their user interface, and there's so many simple, easy preferences and setup things that no one really knows are there, or most people I'm seeing from experience don't know that it would take 5 minutes to configure your whole computer, and the usability of your computer instantly faster. Like it's easier to get around. You can set yourself up to troubleshoot things and come out, you know, like simple stuff like when people are like, oh, back up, like people are backing up so many different ways. And I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, there's no wrong way. There are wrong ways to do that. And there are right ways to do that. And people just don't know. So, you know, I feel like sharing that information there's certain things where it's, you know, like, okay, like in Ableton, you can do things 100 different ways and get the same result. So I'm not sitting here teaching an Ableton class, but when it comes to like Mac OS, I do know my way around, and I'm happy to share that with people.
Awesome. And Jeff, shout out to Jeff Mercer in the chat. Thank you for putting the link in the chat room here so people could sign up.
Oh, sweet. Thank you.
Hell yeah.
Tim, nice. What you got anything you've been working on, production, DJ skill that you've been able to spend some of this time to sharpen up?
Man, I'm basically working on how I can sell my blends right now. Just marketing what I've been doing. I've been noticing that a lot of the stuff that I'm putting out, or if I do a Facebook video, you know, guys are like, "Hey, well, can I get that?" Or what's that? And then, you know, so I'm going to figure out, and I'm figuring out ways how to market myself better, especially with the music that I do. You know, it's a little different. I mean, I guess you could say blends or remixes or stuff like that.
Are you using Bandcamp?
Yeah. So I've been dipping and dabbing with Bandcamp. I just got put onto it. Actually, I just started doing it maybe about 3 weeks ago. So I really didn't, you know, I really wasn't on it. I was kind of keeping all my stuff to myself. And now I have a slew of all this music that it just needs to be, it needs to be out there and it needs to be heard, man. So,
that definitely is a good site. I made some money, you know, when I used to do remixes and blends, mashups, whatever you want to call it. Back, you know, 10 years ago.
Going to be my way to go. I like the fact that I can, you know, just monetize off of that. So I think that's one of the things that I'm just going to hop on.
If you haven't really heard some of his stuff, man, I'm telling you, bro. Like every time I hear something, I'm either thinking, where the hell did you get that file? Like, hell, it could be the instrumental. I don't know. I'm like, where the hell did you get that? And I don't ask him because I know the game. You know, I'm like, yo, bro.
Oh man, you can have anything you want, bro.
But you know, just
that's love. Hell yeah.
Yeah, whatever. You know that.
Tim's been the name with us the last couple years too, man. And yo, me and Tim just, you know, rental car was bumping his stuff, you know, in the whip, man.
Yo, run that shit, Sean.
Top of the stack right here.
Start from the
Hell
beginning.
yeah.
It's so soulful, man. Like it could be some like Migos shit, but then you're like, you want to bop differently to it. I don't know.
Man, I really take that stuff seriously, man. Like I feed off of you guys because you guys were the tricky BMC super technical persons, and I didn't grow up like that. I grew up the party rocker, you know. So being as though, you know, I just jumped in with you guys maybe about 5 years ago. So I feed off of you guys, and I hope that you guys can feed off of me, man.
Well, I do feed off of you, man, and I feed off of pretty much anybody in the artist world, you know.
And shout out to all the DJs like that out there, like the Ron G's, the Craig G's, all the dudes that were making those blends back in the day. I remember at the record store days getting those blends where like you get a killer cut or something where it have like 7 or 8 blends on it from somebody, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is so dope. And you know, it's definitely like that New York style, you know, the essence of, you know, to me, like that late 80s, early 90s true hip-hop DJ was like, if you didn't have a bunch of blends in your back pocket that you could rock out at any time, especially if you could take like a hip-hop beat and throw R&B lyrics over it.
Oh man,
it's like the crowds would just go nuts. And to see those dudes do that, like I remember when I first started DJing, guys would be like, if you don't have at least 10 blends you can pull out at any time, like you don't deserve to rock a 3-hour set. You don't. You know, you'd be like, oh, okay, let me get a little stack that I put over here that's just my blends when I gotta bust them out, you know.
Yeah, man, what I've been noticing that the culture in Baltimore as far as the blends, it's huge. It's bigger than, it's bigger than what I ever thought it would be. And I'm starting to see it swing up and down the East Coast and a little bit to the left. So, you know, we've been trying to make sure that we maximize the opportunities for these guys to come out there. That's why I do the blend battles, you know, and that's why we're going to do the bedroom battles to get these guys out there and, you know, let people hear these marriages of music, man, because that's what there are. If you guys putting in this work, you should be heard, you know. So that's what we're doing.
I want to say something about that as well. Specifically, I want to give props to Tim because, of course, I got that CD right there on the top of the stack, but also Impulse. Here in Baltimore, there's definitely a lot of different like social circles within the music space, but I feel like I'm coming in the generation of DJs right before, maybe two before Tim Nice and Impulse, and I came up paying attention to these guys. So one thing I really admire and take to heart is something that you guys both just kind of spoke on. And Impulse, you've said this previously. Scotty B, Baltimore club legend, says and firmly believes that there is a point where Baltimore club music could have completely died and no one would hear it outside of Baltimore City if there weren't people that were advocating and spreading that around. So having like a panel of DJs here that go around the country, the goal was to get the music in the hands of those people. And I think that goes to the same thing that Tim just said about the blend battles, that all of us have the same tools at our disposal, and it shouldn't be something you like keep to yourself. It shouldn't be a thing you're afraid to put out there and say like, all right, this is my blend that I put on my Bandcamp, because we've all got the same tools, but the way that I'm going to present it, the way that Tim's going to present it, the way that anybody else is going to present it is different. And other people learn because, hey, I might know that acapella, but I don't know the instrumental. And then I'm going to go see if I can find it. And that takes you down that rabbit hole and gives you some more context of like why things sound good. So props to you guys for keeping that culture alive, especially in Baltimore, because that is very, very important to me too.
Well, and definitely a shout out to Titsworth as well, because those Titsworth records, when those came out, I mean, Scotty and I used to talk about that all the time, where he was just like, yo, those Titsworth records reignited Baltimore club to a whole new level of people, a new level of DJs that, you know, a lot of us were around in those early days of the first wave through of Be More Club, and like going to the Paradox or going to what's the spot up this, it was Odell's, was it Odell's back in the day?
Odell's was on North Avenue, right?
Yeah, where like you just rock in there and just be like, oh my, like especially as a, like if you were a dancer, if you were a dance kind of b-boy, it was a heavenly combination of those breaks and the songs of Rod Lee, and there was the record store.
Baltimore was a dancing town.
Sounds of Baltimore.
Tim knows, Sean knows, like
yeah.
Baltimore was a dancing town. It was
big
only
time.
if you went out to a club, you were only going to hear like, I don't know, like you might hear like a 15-minute window of hip hop. The rest of the night was all club music.
Yeah, house and club. Like shout out to Paradox, OG, Pope. Those guys like were just holding it down on Saturday nights, where you would go in there and it would just be like, you would see the dancers would come from everywhere. They would come from New York. They would come. I remember there was a time period where all the B-boys, all the house dancers would hit tracks on a Friday night in DC, and they hit Paradox on a Saturday. And you would see the New York dudes from like Richmond and New York, they would just converge on the Mid-Atlantic because you could hit both those clubs in a night. And dudes were like staying on couches. You know, guys were like bringing 3 changes of clothes to the club so they could like flip it off and like sweat through one and get a new one, fresh one on in case they met a girl. You know, it was definitely, it was real back in those days of like how the dancers controlled so much of the music content. And
that's still happening too. That's actually, I haven't said this to you, but that's the way I got into DJing, was being in that b-boy scene of everybody traveling up and down the Northeast, and then like centered on Baltimore certain days of the week. So it's still going strong. That culture is very important to this city, but it's translated to a lot of other places now, which is dope.
Yeah. The first time I heard, when it was in the early 2000s, it was my first time going to the UK, and we were in a random little lounge bar. It was packed, but when I heard Baltimore club playing in there, like one little tear came down my eye. I was so excited. I was like, we made it! Like, we're good.
Yeah, I don't know. We were in Amsterdam actually, Art, and the guy was playing some club music in the in the Uber, man. So like,
yeah, that's
right. Hell yeah,
it's everywhere.
It's dope.
Yeah.
It's dope to see those little pockets. How far it reaches.
Like, yo, what is this? You listen to this?
Yeah,
playing this set. He's like, I don't know. It's just dance music.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Don't play that on our local radio, though. That's what they always say.
Where the weed at?
Is there like a new wave, new generation of Be More House that's is coming through the clubs right now?
Yeah, man.
Jersey.
So the Jersey and
I've seen it's Baltimore club's still there, but it looks like it's going to infusion between Baltimore club and New Jersey club, and it looked like they're speeding it up a little bit. Used to have, when I was coming up, the general BPM for club music was 128, 130. Now they're jumping them up to 135, 140. I'm like, they're getting up there. They're dancing a little faster now, but they're still. What I do notice with the Baltimore club music, still keeping the same base as far as the formula.
Recipe, and it's still true to it. Yeah.
Yeah, they still try to keep the same formula. Sing breaks all day in the background. Oh yeah, it's still same.
Well, you know what they say why especially even the b-boy scene got into the breaks being like 134, 136. The reason is because you can stay on beat a lot easier.
Yeah, exactly.
The beat is hitting. It's like even DJs. It's like anytime you teach someone how to DJ, I always tell them start with faster music because your room for error is a lot more grace. You got a lot bigger grace period. You try to start mixing right out the gate at 80 beats per minute or 75, you're gonna feel the nudges a lot more.
Yeah.
And same with rhythm. It's like the faster that beat, the more chance you're gonna hit it.
Yeah, when I started DJing, man, it was 93. We went to the record store and all we bought were club records, and that's all 130 all day, and that's how we started to learn. And then when we went to hip hop, we didn't know what was going on at all, man. It was terrible. But we couldn't figure it out. We had the fast stuff. We had that stuff good down. We were good with that. But that slower stuff, man, it wasn't hitting.
Oh, man. Eric, are you between everything happening with your venues and being dad, are you actually finding any time to like work on any creative, stretch your creativity at all?
The live streams have been super creative where it's like I'm playing songs I haven't played in the club in 10, 15, 20 years. So knowing that I have 2 shows a week too, I'm definitely day before just going through my Serato and putting together playlists and crates and stuff that have 0 play counts next to them where I'm like, yo, I can't wait to just like bust this shit out. And then, you see that chat room and it might not even be a huge turnout, but there's 50 people in there that are like, oh my God, you just played Jermaine Stewart. Like, holy shit. Man. Like, where it's just like, yo, this is like when I started DJing, like the same energy that I felt where it was like, I can't believe that like, this is working, this is happening. It's like that same vibe of like people appreciating it and just in a different way. So it's definitely like keeping me creative.
Yeah, I feel that watching your set, and that's kind of the things I'm more attracted to. If I'm gonna watch a live stream, I wanna watch somebody that's like a musical connoisseur, instead of like, oh, I'm just gonna show you what I'm rocking at a party. Like last night, I played my show. I played the Bums with your.
Sick. I played that shit the other.
Yeah, I played Free My Mind. It's like I have that cassette tape. That was like a cassette tape that I rocked in my car as like a high school kid or whatever, and like. Those records to me are I would much rather have only 50 eyeballs at a time on my sets, but playing music that I care about and knowing that like you're affecting people more in an emotional way, in a way that's going to connect long term than just like, oh, he's playing some hot whatever, even if it's like 10 years ago hot, like an absolute banger that anybody can relate to. I want to reach the people that are more listening for songs that are going to affect them emotionally or in a way that isn't just Hostess cupcake. I want you to eat some vegetables.
That's how I've been doing it. That's how I've been doing it too. I've been actually I've been going through and making as if it were creative records, and like I'm playing out of this list because I'm going throughout the whole week, and I play this, I'll play this. And I think X was talking about, he did that on one of his live streams. You get lost in the sauce when you're just staring at your screen. But if you can go throughout the week and you're just kind of curating a list, it just feels better when you do actually play those particular records.
Yeah, if
you guys are inspiring me right now.
100.
Come on.
Yo, Coleman, you're so good with the tech stuff, man. Like you would be perfect for this stuff.
Yeah.
Live stream, dude.
What does everybody think like is the perfect amount of time to live stream, and like how many times has any, if everybody has like a schedule, like what do you find like is the perfect balance?
I'm just saying, you guys are inspiring me with the deep cuts and stuff like that. I used to have a party called Sexy Sundays, and like maybe I should just bring that back for like the middle of the day, Sunday. It's like I would play like, sunset sessions or like, a Wednesday happy hour at the Standard, just kind of grooving, but playing like 65 beats per minute weekend SoundCloud rips, like
hell yeah.
There
we go.
Stuff that went up for a day or two. Like I played what was that? The Dream Put You to Bed, Yeezy Season 7 17-minute version, stuff like that.
There's a market for that stuff now, man.
I would go to that party in a heartbeat.
Listening to you guys, that's what I'm saying. I might have to bring that Sunday vibe back.
Do it.
Hey,
Excel,
go ahead.
Excel, what days are you live streaming right now?
I don't really have a set schedule. I did a live stream for Caddis, which is an eyewear brand, last week. I have a fundraiser for these folks in Philadelphia that I'm going to live stream an hour this Saturday.
That Caddis mix is incredible, by the way. Everybody should listen to that.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So I really haven't been doing like the weekly thing as of yet. I have been on every week, but I just picked a random day whenever I feel like going up. I've been trying to pick the times that are not the obvious times that a lot of folks are doing, just because I feel like everybody's live streaming and then we're all pulling the same people. But most importantly, I've just been recording the sets and then posting the sets later on. So if you did not see the live stream or, are not really trying to see the live stream, at least there's a mix that you can take with you 6, 7, 8 months, a year from now later. You know what I mean?
That's what's up.
Yeah, man. So it's been fun. I know for me, like 2 hours is a good amount of time. Anything over the 2 hour mark, I don't need to be on, that much. And I feel like it's hard to keep ourselves entertained when you're trying to balance engaging the people in the chat, making sure your feed doesn't get clipped, so 2 hours is like a solid amount of time, at least for me, to do a live stream. So
I think it's hard to keep those the attention span with a live stream sometimes. I mean, you can do all the bells and whistles with the pictures and the backgrounds, but 9 times out of 10 they don't want to just look at you. I mean, you really got to make the music hit for a minute. So yeah, I wouldn't do anything over 2 hours either.
Or you have to be DJ Scene.
Put them up.
Put your ones up.
Yo.
Shouts to Z.
I almost got to that point on my stream,
brutal.
man.
Dude. My dude.
Gio, I think you were drinking water, dude. There's no way.
No, that was
amazing.
I can handle vodka, man. Like,
oh, Gio got twisted on
shit, man.
birthday.
I
On his birthday, the birthday boy right here.
Yo, hit that.
Happy birthday.
Hit that shit right now, man.
So
Put your sparklers up. Let's go.
If you guys don't know, Gio's birthday was last week, and we started it off with I was live streaming on Saturday, Friday, and kind of trying to get the word out about his birthday and the amazing organization that we were trying to raise money for. And the organization is meandyou.city. That's MENANDYOU.city. They feed homeless children in the DC area, kids that
low
are
income families, everybody that's like struggling during
the time. And those people are particularly hit even double time at this time. And so Gio was like, yo, every time you give a donation, I'll take a shot.
Yo.
Do it again.
I'm not brave enough for that, man.
My wife was like, yo, I'm going to donate right now because I want to see if you can drink this bottle, and it was like, that was what everybody was doing. They were just like donating and watching him like take shot after shot and somehow manage to stay on, not get booted off Facebook, not miss a mix. It was pretty amazing.
It was good times. It took me back.
It looks like every homeless child in DC is now fed. Thank you, Gio.
Donate.
Doing his part.
Yes, sir.
But actually, to that point, so the live stream question you asked about days of the week, and Excel nailed it. I've been doing 2-hour streams, but I picked times specifically because I was trying to avoid the times that everybody else, like the homies, like basically if you claimed a spot and I knew you because I seen your feed or whatever, I was like, I'm going to go earlier or after that. So I ended up settling on 3 days a week as a maximum. And I got actually kind of a side funny story. A friend of mine hit me up yesterday and told me, yeah, so my son, on Tuesday, when I do my Tuesday stream, it's noon to 2, and my internet was messing up. So I started a little bit late. My friend texted me, was like, yeah, my son has been waiting for you to get on. He's a toddler, but he keeps asking, like, when are we going to listen to DJ Sean J? And I was like, whoa, this is like not something I would have expected to come across.
Hell yeah.
But the reason I like that settled so much in my mind is like this is becoming a routine thing while everybody's locked in the house. Yeah. And I'm hoping to keep that going because at noon on a Tuesday, I'm probably not going to be out and about anyway. So it's a thing I can consistently commit to. So that 2-hour window works for me. And now there's people that hit me up on a regular basis and they're like, hey, you're going on today, right? Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure. Like that's really dope.
That's awesome.
This is a thing that's
I do find if you have
receptive to it
for your live that people will pay attention to you. I also feel like if you have a theme for your live, that people will want to tune in. I actually set up a theme called You Too Young Fridays. So I just play a lot of old school stuff. And, if you're not with it, you're young. You just can't, you're not supposed to be there. And it's actually picked up, I ended up playing like stuff 80s. I played the whole 80s set. I was playing Mr. Roboto last week. Like, I was really in my bag. I was just, I think you have to be creative at these times, and it's like I think Excel said, it's hard to pull everybody in and stay in the chat and like make sure you're not getting clipped by FB, but these are different times and we're trying to do things to stay relevant so people will continue to think about us even when we're offline or come check for us, even when we're offline. So we got to do certain things like that to just keep ourselves out there.
It's
Evil's done one of like a really good. So he and I usually play on Saturday nights, and I'll play before him. Of course, I'm on the East Coast, but he does a great party that's strictly for the kids, and he'll play all the movie themes, and he's got a solid audience.
Got an MC.
And I see the pictures on Instagram, and everybody's dancing around the living room with their families. Like that shit is dope. Like I think that's an amazing thing. So
yeah.
Well, shout out to my mother-in-law for the idea.
Oh, word.
What's her name? Shouts to
big ups.
Yo, Julie D. Appreciate you.
Julie D.
That's definitely a good point. I think of why maybe us in this chat here on this board are more. We kind of feel more drawn to music that matters because also I'm pretty confident that whenever I'm playing, especially. What I'm curating on my own, that you could pop it in for your family and not be offended. Even to this day, I've still always tried to play the clean edits of songs, even in the club. It's just like something I've always kind of gravitated that way of just like I don't want 3 versions of this song in the first place, and if I gotta play it at somewhere that like I play a lot of sporting events and things like that, so
totally.
I've got to play it clean, and it's just like that's the one I made all the cue points on, and I just don't feel like going back to it. And half the time you'll see people that, especially girls, that they might only hear that song on the radio and they never knew it said these other 5 words in it, and it creates a whole other angst that happens in this setting that wasn't there before. And it just, for me, it's just like I'd always err on the side of caution anyway. But
just don't drink. Just don't drink during your stream, or you'll start
you're like
cursing
the Jim
up a
Gaffigan
storm.
Straight up.
Oh, even when I used to be an MC, like me and Jamal, we never cursed on our records because we were just like, I don't want to make a clean, dirty version. I want to be able to put 6 songs on this EP and know that you don't need an album version. It's always going to be a clean version and the instrumental, and that's it. And so to me, it's always been more of a personal choice, but also because I know I have a lot of. We were talking about this earlier. What's the best platform to stream on? And that's why I think, for me personally, I think Facebook is such a better place because it allows so many of our friends that used to see us DJ that don't go out. That's where they are. Now, if you want the younger, hipper crowd, maybe that's more on Instagram or Twitch or whatever. But like the people I'm trying to connect to are the people that I haven't been able to see, or they don't come to the clubs anymore, and they have families now and they want to have that nostalgic feeling, but they also want their kids in the living room. So, you know, you can't be F-bombing every 3 words and then be like, oh, we got to turn this off.
I kind of look at Facebook as when you're on Facebook Live, you're actually the crowd's coming to you. You're not going to the crowd. When you're on another platform, you got to pull the crowd in. So it's almost as if it's cheating a little bit, but it's definitely beneficial for all the DJs. But I think every DJ that is looking to continue to get out of this pandemic with some type of staying power has to be live, because you should treat every person that comes into your live as maybe saying a stakeholder, maybe, because those people are going to be the ones that are going to call you and say, hey man, when we're out of this, I might need you for X, Y, and Z and A, B, and C, so the Facebook Live is good for that. I mean, they don't like us, but it's what it is.
Totally. Especially if you shout out everyone that comes in the room too. Like, I'm not shouting everyone out in the club, but like I'm in my living room. Like, what do I have to lose to like say thank you to everybody? And then they share it, and then it just grows. Like,
That's because in the club you've seen that dude for 15 years and you still don't know what his name is.
His name is my
behind
man.
the curtain.
My man. That's
my man. What's up,
dude?
bro?
What's good, homie?
I'm the worst with names. I'll be the first to admit it. I'm terrible. So terrible.
Especially that really
same.
old dude that's always at the club every week. Man. He shouldn't be in there right now.
While we're talking about live streams, let's introduce Sean in this new segment we have every week where Sean J is going to do his live stream tip of the week.
I get drops. Appreciate that.
You get
that was tight.
You get a drop.
I'll take that. So appreciate it. So this is actually segues perfectly into like the whole topic of going into live streaming on the technical side of it, as opposed to like I don't have a scratch demo like Art did, but down here under my controller, I've got this little mixer, and what I wanted to talk to everybody about today is the audio factor. So this mixer right here is by Yamaha. It's the EG003 mixer, and the reason I wanted to bring this out as an example, I've said this before, I'm going to say it again, so I'm going to say it right now. Our job is to make people feel stuff with sound. And more importantly, if you're doing something that's on the internet being broadcasted or being pre-recorded, people are much less likely to stick around for the entire thing if the sound is bad versus if the video quality is like, whatever. So you should definitely make sure as a DJ, if you're just getting into live streaming, prioritize your audio. And this mixer is a great example of a simple way to understand what's really happening. You've got an XLR input on this guy. It's made for like singer-songwriter doing a show at a coffee shop or whatever. But you've also got a stereo 1/4-inch input. And then if you see that center knob on the bottom, a USB output. So what this allows you to do, if you were to take, let me stand up real quick so I can show this. If you were to take your DJ controller, your mixer, and plug that into a mixer like this, of course, you connect your speakers and then you can hear everything. The key is you also want the people on the internet to be able to hear what's going through your mixer. And so this Yamaha AG03 mixer is the small version. They also have one, the AG06. Roland makes one, the Roland Mix Go, and then the Roland Mix Pro mixer. All of them have this one little feature called loopback. And the loopback feature allows you to eliminate a lot of the cables. I don't know if everybody can see this little switch right here where my finger is. If you turn that all the way to the bottom, it's on loopback. So whatever's going in will automatically get broadcast through the USB to your computer. So the short version of saying it is like this. If you're prioritizing your audio, you want to have a separate mixer than the one that you're using to actually play Serato, whatever your DVS of choice is. And then you'd have this as the source that goes to the world. If you're doing it through your phone, little adapter right here for Apple camera connection kit. Plug this in, USB on one side, USB to the other side, plug that in your phone, you're good. Everything's going to be solid quality. So everybody seems to be discovering the iRigs. iRigs have been out for a very long time, but because of like this big hype about iRigs specifically, there's not as many in stock. This mixer I've had for, I want to say 4 years. I still use it all the time. I'm going to be using it tomorrow. I'm doing a live stream here in Baltimore, raising some funds. I also have the AG06. There's lots of other mixers you can use that are not just the iRig specific branded ones. So if anybody's got questions on other specific models, then hit me up. You can drop it in the chat. I see some people putting those models in the chat. But what Loopback does, thank you, Cam, for clarifying, it allows that anything you've got going in to the mixer, anything coming in either at the XLR side, the quarter inch side, whatever, would also go out so you can hear it in the speaker output. When Loopback is turned on, anything that you hear coming out of your speaker also goes out to the internet. That way you don't have to have a channel coming out and then back into the mixer and create a feedback loop, because that doesn't sound good for anybody. And the most important thing is audio quality. That's how you get the best audio quality.
Dope.
I think that is a big deal for live streams. Just to piggyback off of what Sean says, I think the quality of the sound, when you're pulling the sound straight out of a speaker and going into a regular phone or something like that, it sounds like an AM radio sometimes. You don't get the bass, you don't get the highs, you don't get the actual good audio fidelity. And when you can pull that true fidelity into a live stream, that's priceless right there. That's priceless.
No.
And that also speaks to the quality of your work.
Someone needs to come up with a track that plays like in the background that's like all tones that obscures the algorithm from catching your song.
Chris is actually
that's what Chris and I
that.
are doing with Chris mostly, but like I did that for my stream on Saturday, and
so what'd you do?
My stream was like up for like 3 hours. So explain, Chris.
Yeah, so basically I have a friend, shout out to Zachariah Wise, Depth Charge Recording. He's a sound engineer with a massive studio over there, and he's been mastering records and working with, A-list artists forever recording, and I was sitting down with him, and he's kind of one of these dudes. He works with me for the Nats and does producing live sporting events and also running it back to the TV. So his understanding and depth of frequency and range is beyond. And I was picking his brain to say, like, how do I figure out a way to not get booted off Facebook from playing songs? And he said, my suggestion is get an audio, like a social chatter track, like something that's a busy restaurant or a cocktail party that's just all these people chattering. And he's like, and put that and use that somehow. And then when he said that, I was like, okay, well, then I'm going to take that and I'm going to make a loop of it for like 2.5 hours and then throw it in my sampler on my S9 and just hit go and just let it go in the sample box and just play underneath. The first time I did that, I went 3 hours without being booted off of Facebook and then Geo used it on his night, and he was playing all kinds of known hit records, and it went through, and he never got booted one time.
Hey.
I even got flagged afterwards. I got flagged by Warner Brothers, and they released it.
You got to put that out, like give that out, like put the file up.
I need that so bad, please.
Yeah, I got all y'all before
holler at your boy.
So check this out. There was for a minute there was the similar thing that you put in your SP9 or your SP6 and let it run on loop, and it was silent. You couldn't hear it, but it was like it's in some combination of frequencies, and it was in development with Shazam, and you could Shazam any song and it would have the DJ's info.
Oh, wow.
And I saw a demo by someone who had it, and it was like in development, like for real, worked on any Shazam, like it worked. And they never rolled it out.
Wow.
Whoa.
Yeah, the interesting part about it too is being that it's like a cocktail party vibe to it. When you like kind of turn the music down or like you play like a song that has a little bit of break, you hear it in the background, and people have actually been responding to me saying like, yo, I really like hearing, like, who do you have over? Like, or who's at your house? And I'm telling them like on the chat, like, no, it's just this thing I use to try to mess with the algorithm. And they're like, it's actually really peaceful. because it makes
Nice.
people feel like there's people with them. So that's like the kind of maybe subliminal side of it that helps with people too, where they're like, oh shit, I'm at a party. You know, I feel like I'm at.
That's awesome. That's really
I'll
awesome.
share with
The
all you guys.
isolation is breaking people. Like I've been within a 5 foot by 5 foot square for the last 5 weeks in a row. So I guarantee that first week when everybody gets back out and is able to even go to a coffee shop, it's gonna be crazy.
Speaking of coffee, are you guys what have you been making this week? I know Excel, you're a coffee connoisseur. You put it in your bio. What's the coffee tip? What's the coffee tip of the week?
I recently discovered Onyx roasters. So I've been ordering from Onyx directly, and we've been making that in the crib. And I just made it deep decaf, which what I was drinking when we first started. Just because Ryan and I, we both like coffee and we like coffee late at night, but the caffeine kind of kicks in when you don't want it to, and then you're up till 6, 7 in the morning having like full blown panic attacks. So, the decaf is actually really nice, and the coffee that we made in the morning here was just like a regular cap or whatever. So and then I've been hitting the coffee shop a little bit. There's a couple of spots around me that are open that we can walk to, which is just good to go get a walk in and grab a coffee. We got one spot around the corner called Full Service, which is this dope old gas station that they flipped into a coffee shop. We'll hit that, or go get 'em Tiger is like less than a mile away from us. So that's pretty much the move here, and then we've been drinking a lot of tea, like hot tea at night. I turned into like one of those dudes. So just been killing the hot tea crazy. And there's this Tazo tea that only Target has. That's like juniper and honey or something. It's like really hard to get. You have to get it from Target. And we just been ordering that by like case loads. It's really good. So
I think my sister-in-law told me about that actually. That's crazy.
Yo, it's really good, man. But it's like you can only get it it's like a flavor that they made for them. So yeah.
What about that Stumptown Oatly collabo in the pre-pack? Have you had that yet?
I haven't had that, no. Is it really
good?
good?
Man. Yeah, I mean it's oat milk and cold brew from Stumptown with like a tiny bit of
awesome.
sugar.
Yeah.
Key.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to try it.
So what'd you say? Onyx roasters?
Onyx is really good. Yeah. If you go to their website online, they've been shipping stuff in like two days, really.
Where are they based out of?
I think Portland, right, Bod?
Nah, Onyx is in
Who?
like
Onyx?
Tennessee or something.
Is it really?
I think so.
The other one was from Target, Tazo, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have
That's Seattle.
That tea.
That's the
Onyx
Seattle.
Coffee Lab.
You can take all of
I don't know exactly where they're
Sorry, I
shipping.
couldn't keep her away anymore.
It's all good.
She wanted to be on the show.
Arkansas. They're in Arkansas. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Same thing. Tennessee, Arkansas.
But yeah, that's where I've been ordering from.
Okay, thank you.
It's the same.
Yeah.
It definitely, Eric, it's now hit me. It's like that Beastie Boys video. That's your background. Like,
so what you want, you know what I mean?
What you want? Yeah.
Like you're in the real life. It's awesome.
He's a psychedelic.
Speaking of which,
background.
didn't the documentary came out tonight, right?
Tomorrow, I thought.
Oh yeah,
That's
crazy.
gonna be
Spike Jones.
Yeah,
Let's go.
Yeah.
Oh,
I can't wait
wow.
to see that.
Shout
There's
out-
another great documentary on YouTube for for Coachella that YouTube Originals put out. It's really dope. It goes through the whole 20 years of Coachella, which is dope just to see that progression, musically and just everything, just a whole timeline of everything that they've done.
Where is that available? Is that a YouTube thing or?
Yeah, that's on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
I heard about that. Yeah.
Yep. It's really good.
Coleman, you and I were talking earlier this week, and we were talking about like your like original kind of moving to New York and getting settled, and how for a long time it was like if you weren't doing anything but DJing, you weren't like a DJ. Where like oh, I DJ for a living full time, you must be good. Or if you have a day job, you must not be that good of a DJ. Where now it feels like if you were a DJ that had a day job, you were a really smart dude right now. It's like,
So like, yeah. So I guess, yeah, well, what I was saying is when I first moved to New York, I was on the outside. Like I didn't have anyone who plugged me in as far as like, you know, introducing me to the person who's going to introduce me to the person who's going to book me or anything. You know, it took like a year to get a really solid connect, you know, just like having to show up. And there's this catch-22 when, you know, I refused to go get a real job. I was like, I DJ full time. I'm moving to New York. I'm going to pursue this. And people are like, hey, what do you do? I'm like, oh, I DJ full time. And they're like, where? And I'm like, I don't have an answer, you know? So it's this like, then you pick up some shitty gigs. And then when you say, where are you DJ? The people write you off because you're playing at these crappy spots. And it's sort of like this never ending cycle of how do you get your foot in the door. And through those times, I was on Craigslist saying, hey, you know, if you have a small business, I'll come help you with the Mac stuff. And I've maintained some of those clients over the years as their businesses have grown. And I've got probably like 4 or 5 from like 10 years ago. But the rate is very comparable to DJing. You know, you're sitting there in their apartment and they're offering you coffee and you're just watching a progress bar. And I'm sitting there being like, you know, maybe I should do more of this. So it's funny that I like worked at Apple in order to DJ full time, only to have it come full circle and help people back with the Apple stuff.
well, I mean, having other businesses, and I think, you know, some of us in here have realized that you don't necessarily want to be the 62-year-old DJ in the nightclubs anymore. At some point, all of us are going to get to an age. I mean, and if you're not in your 30s starting to try to figure out what you're going to be doing when you're 60, you're almost behind the 8 ball, and you're going to find yourself stuck in a place that's not going to be fun to be in. When you think you have a lot of bills in your 30s, wait till you have wife and kids or whatever. Your bills in your 50s and 60s are going to look like a whole nother level compared to your bills in your 30s and 40s. When you're paying for weddings in college and all these other things that you're looking to do, looking to retire, all these instances. And I think what this has taught a lot of people, and including you know, my close friends, is like, DJing is great. It's great that you're a full-time DJ, but what are you doing to set yourself up in the future when you might not necessarily be able to DJ as much? I mean, we got Eric who owns venues. We've got Impulse who has like his photography business and is doing lots of work like that. We've got Tim who's a promoter and doing events and creating music. We've got Excel over here, who I want to hear more about what you've been doing. I know you had mentioned it a little earlier. You were saying some of your branding and some of the t-shirts, but can you talk a little bit more about what you've been kind of working on that for some, you know, extra money?
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely one of those people that is behind the curve, you know. I didn't get into this with a plan B, and I kind of felt like looking at the plan B would steer me away from my A plan, you know? And I think like a lot of us, like we're still kind of living this dream, you know? And even with this punch to the gut, like I still feel like we'll be okay. We just got to get through this time, you know? But I always was into clothing and fashion and stuff like that. So after just doing a bunch of research and using the network of friends that work in the clothing business as well, I started to work on merch. But the merch is, if you've seen it, is more like indirect merch, not necessarily, you know, so blatantly DJ XL merch. It's just kind of like XL is a brand and the merch has different themes. So I started with the one shirt, which was just a flip on the vintage Wu-Tang cream tee that they did back in the day. But, you know, instead of cash, it said coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And all of the shirts so far have not only just embodied who I am as a brand, but just things that I think a lot of people are also into as well. And you can either A, like the design of the shirt, or B, be a fan of me, or all of the above, you know?
Right.
And the shirts have helped. I mean, I'm definitely not at a point where I'm like a full-fledged clothing brand, but I think exploring that a little bit further, as well as possibly moving into working on merch and design for other people, not just for myself, could be a avenue that I pursue. But, you know, in my heart of hearts, I don't ever want to stop spinning. Like, if I'm fortunate enough to be 62 and play in a club, I'm all for it, man. I mean, it's just a happy place for me, you know? And, you know, I know guys that are much older that still have full DJ careers, and maybe you have to modify what that is as life goes on. But, you know, I have no problem continuing to do this. I don't feel burnout. I'm not tired. Like, I live a normal life. I don't really party too hard. My enjoyment really comes from playing and entertaining people. So, you know, as long as the world will allow me to do it, I want to keep doing it. And all the other things are now things that I'm taking into consideration as backup plans to either push my A dream along or to help me when all this comes to an end, whether it's an old motorcycle or merch or trying to invest in things that I think the big thing that a lot of us need to really consider is something that will make you income when you're not working. Because I think, as a lot of us have seen, your career went from 100 to 0 really fast, you know? And I was fortunate enough to be at a point where I had some money saved up at that time, and I wasn't really waiting on any invoices to get paid. But the beginning of the year is usually pretty slow for me. I mean, taxes are due and all that other stuff. And this broke right before all of that. So, you know, now that I'm just kind of in like mega chill mode, I haven't received any assistance, you know, no SBA loan, no check from the government, no unemployment yet. And I've been out of work since March 15th. Right. So now it just kind of put things into perspective a little bit more clear. Like, yo, if you're going to do something, you need to do something that's going to make you money when I'm not working. Because the fact of the matter is, everything just changed really fast, you know? And what's on the other side of this may not be the same, may not be as fruitful as it was before we went into this.
That is real. That is,
Yep.
That's so true, and
yeah,
very poignant. And guys, if you don't know, what anybody out there that's not understanding, just Google passive income. That's what Excel is talking about.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
he's talking about how is my money still growing when I'm sleeping, or how is my money growing when I'm in the club here making money? I'm making money over here too. And
I mean, I definitely have an excuse for myself. You know, at 29, I moved from Philadelphia to California, and at 30, I was at the lowest point in my entire career. I mean, I had a well-paying career in Philly, so I had to start over again from like a negative, you know, and I really didn't get back on my feet for years later. So and of course, once you get back on your feet, you're not thinking of any of this. You're just like, yo, the ball's rolling. I'm just going to keep pushing this ball down the road for real. And this is the only moment in my life that reminds me of that feeling. The only difference is I have money in my bank account right now, and you know, back then the money was few and far between. So, you know,
it feels like everyone we checked in with, everyone's 2020 was set to like pop. Like everyone had something right around the corner.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a lot of gigs that were lost for sure. Like there was a lot of money that I had that were all like corporate gigs that paid really well, that were all lined up to happen. And then slowly but surely they just got ticked off the list of gigs that I was just like, okay, they have to cancel. And it started like mid-February.
It started with me. I canceled on you.
Well, you weren't you weren't the first one, Bod. You weren't the first one. In February, I had 2 corporate gigs that canceled, and I knew it was all kind of like it was all coming, but we were just kind of everybody was waiting. And like Evil said, I was supposed to go to Portland and Seattle and play for a weekend, and it was getting closer to this weekend, and things were getting real fuzzy. And he finally hit me because he was still running forward with it too. And I even gave him the option, like, look, Bob, we don't got to do this right now if you don't think it's a good idea. And he was like, nah, let's still do it. And then a few days later, it was like, yo, we got to cancel it. And I was able to pick up a last minute gig in Nebraska, which everything in Nebraska was still normal. But traveling to Nebraska and back, you can see things were just different, you know? And sure enough, like right after that gig is when things got clamped down pretty hard. And now we're just waiting to see. But I just got off the phone with a corporate client that I deal with that our gig wasn't even until the fall, and I think they're going to cancel everything this year. So that's money that I could potentially have still made that's gone, you know?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I mean it's
happening.
Yeah, it's something that
totally.
Yeah. People are thinking like, oh, it'll be fine once I get to like July or August. I think there's a harsh reality that even those ones are going to start to get picked off. And I think Coleman and I were talking about that.
Yeah, I was going to ask Eric a question. I know right when I first was talking about trying to collect my open invoices for the agency, and you said you guys were in similar situation. Have you seen any progress there?
Luckily, some of our accounts with Music Trust are like big corporate accounts. So they had money set aside that eventually has started to trickle in. But we pay DJs oftentimes before we even get paid, just because it's like,
right.
We're founded by DJs and we know what it's like to sit around and like wait for an invoice for, 30, 60, 90 days.
At 45 and mess.
Totally. And so we paid out, and then it was like, oh shit, everyone's closed. And so, slowly but surely people have started to come back around. Like checks are still hitting the mailbox, but it's been a pretty crazy month.
So I'm in the process of filing with the city. In New York City, we have a law called freelancing isn't free, and it's only 2 years old, and it's super in favor of the freelancers, and it actually allows you to go for double damages if invoice isn't paid for 30 days, and all the fees have to be paid by the venue. None of it touches the freelancers' money. And the city can choose to fine the venue, or it's whoever, not just venues, it's whoever hires anyone. But the city can choose to fine the other party $25,000 for wasting their time.
Oh shit!
So it's like in addition, like all these things,
crazy
to like kick these people's asses, and like, so now I'm sitting here weighing, like, okay, do I go after? Like, I mean, and I've written emails, and first it's gentle, then it's a little more demanding, then it's like, hey, I'm understanding here's a payment plan. And at some point, I'm obviously like, it's in my best interest to hold out in hopes that it goes back to normal, right? Like, I don't want to burn the bridge.
Right. Totally.
But what if
we're all going to be
like on the other side of that, there might not be a bridge.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, there really is no way to tell. It's like, in that situation, no one really knows what money they have, and of course everyone's doing the same thing. You're holding on to your cash flow as long as you can, not knowing how long you're going to need to hold on to it for, and even for me, I mean, I called every bill that I have to put everything on freeze, just because the money I have could last me 2 months. It may have to last me 4 or 5 months, until I have a better and clearer vision of what's going on. It's shitty, of course, because you're really nothing you can do except call and ask and try to be cool. And then eventually you're going to have to take it to like a legal route and hope that they have the money to pay back and don't actually go out of business.
And that's the thing is, I think if I don't start the process now, then when they do go out of business, I'm screwed. But if I start now, then like I'm at the top.
You might be screwed too. I mean, yeah, you might be screwed too, because then you may come out on the other side and they may not want to do business with you. So
Right.
it's really
Well,
just about it's really just about you at this point. What gamble do you want to take, right? And
fine line.
Yeah, it sucks either way, but even if you wait and don't do anything, the work that they may have to offer you on the other side may not be worth taking anyway.
Totally. And I hire 40 DJs a month in New York. So I have, you can imagine the scale.
No, I know.
Yeah,
It's
and I paid them
it's
all
crazy.
out, so.
Yeah, I mean, like the corporate client that I spoke to today said they're waiting until like July, because I guess there's some kind of clause they have with the government that if they don't cancel their plans until like later on, till like after this July date, then I guess it's no fault, no expense, no responsibility on their part. So I guess a lot of the people are just kind of dragging it out. If you ask today, they're still planning the events for the fall, but I think come July is once they cross that date that the government has allowed them to, I guess, push
No
off
fault,
till
right.
then they cancel with the no fault, and that changes everything coming to the fall. So somebody on the chat real quick asked about Mixcloud Select, and Mixcloud Select is dope, but you as the person uploading the music don't really see any money until everyone else gets paid, and you have to have a bunch of subscribers to do so. I am part of Select. I haven't seen any money. I have another friend who is part of Select, and he's seen some money, not enough to pay for sushi. But I guess if you can upload mixes with music that does not need to get paid for, or just like underground independent music that's not in the system, then I guess you have a better chance of your subscribers, the money that the subscribers are paying eventually getting to you. But if you look at my mixes, I mean, it's mostly records that people are affiliated in the music business with. So, the new streaming platform. I think if you were going to stream, I think Twitch is probably the best way to go.
Team Twitch all day.
Yeah,
Why
I just
is
think
that?
I think because the audio is great, you can get through your whole set uninterrupted. They will not cut your feed due to any music. They just will not let the feed live after it's completely aired.
Post. Yeah.
Right.
At all.
So
cool.
yeah.
So
So I think you can get through your live stream and not have to worry about engaging and entertaining. You can just play music straight through. You can run one of the interfaces and go from there. But of course, every network is a great network. If you want to use all of them, then use them all. Do Facebook, do IG, do Periscope, do Twitch, and try to capture as much as you can. It's I mean, like the people that I know that are doing that have somebody else operating the whole stream. So if you're able to do that, then great. But if it's just you and a computer or you and one camera and a phone, then you just got to decide what's best for you. I think just streamlining everybody to one network makes the most sense.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Figuring out what works best for you and sticking to that. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Well, I think this is about where we're going to wrap it up. We will talk more about the Mixstream platform next week, but we also
probably do a few things.
On our next week's show, we are going to be talking to a few tour DJs that tour with artists. So we're going to have DJ Bonix, who Wiz Khalifa's DJ. We're going to have DJ Face, who's Rhapsody's DJ. DJ Bix. Bix is the international.
Yay.
Jay Sean, more international touring DJ. And we're also going to have Aiden Scott from the Philly AC area bringing in some DJs. Damn. Before we sign off, I want to give you guys a chance to plug anything you're doing. Let's start with CFLO over there and start with
tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Tomorrow I'm doing the webinar, and I'm going to show you guys after we stop the broadcast. I'm going to show you guys the end of show release.
Awesome.
Exclusive.
Yeah. So guys,
you're gonna like this.
If you were tuning in late, make sure you go follow him either on Instagram or on Twitter, DJ CFLO, CFLO, and he has the information about his webinar tomorrow. I pushed back 2 meetings big meetings I was supposed to have personally, where I was like, nah, I got at 4 o'clock. I'm going to be busy, and I'm super appreciative for you doing that.
And you need it, man. You need it.
Yeah, I got pages out the Seinfeld things of notes here. It's thought out.
Yeah, man, it's our livelihood as DJs, our machines that we use. So if someone's willing to offer all this knowledge to us, it's your responsibility, I think, to show up and support. Impulse.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Thank you for being here. Impulse, what you want to plug, bro?
None. I go live tomorrow from 8 to 10, and I will be doing an all vinyl set curated by my 11-year-old daughter.
Nice, getting creative.
So she has handpicked 60 records out of my collection.
Let's go.
And that's what we're gonna rock tomorrow, all vinyl. So yeah.
All Drake.
That's that much Drake. Drake made a lot. He made a lot of vinyl.
Awesome. Thank you for being here as always, Impulse. Appreciate you.
Of course. Love you guys. Thank you so much for having me.
Tim Nice. Let's hear about that battle.
All right, so we're doing a bedroom blend battle. We'll call it the bedroom blend battle. It's May the 3rd. It'll probably be on the Zoom platform. We're taking submissions of top 20 DJs who will be in the battle. If you want to join, just send me an email at bedroomblendbattle@gmail.com, and you guys will go ahead and you send it over there. The top 6 contestants will be entered into the Baltimore blend battle whenever that is after the pandemic. And the top prize for that will be $1,000, and PV's backing that. So they're going to be a chance for that winner to expose themselves at the DJ Expo. So that's going to be a big deal. So we got some good things going on. And follow me. Right.
DJ Expo.
Yes, big deal.
Come on, sound guy.
Follow me at DJ Tim Nice, at Nice Guys ENT, on Instagram, on Facebook. I'm here for you, man. I appreciate you guys having me, man. I really, really do. Thank you so much, man.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for joining us, brother.
Salute.
EvilOne.
What up?
Give us
Yo.
Let us know.
I don't really have anything to plug. Like we were talking about, all of my stuff is like based on people being able to be together in the same room and having a good time. So like, we're figuring it out as we go. But I'm going live on Thursdays and Saturdays. Usually at 7 o'clock on Thursday Pacific time, so 10 o'clock for you guys, and then 8 o'clock Pacific on Saturdays. And I'm just playing stuff that like inspires me and makes me feel good. And no Tyga, as I said. So no disrespect to Tyga. I appreciate all 12 of his songs that are exactly the same. They're dope, but like I just want to play songs that I like at the crib, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. But I appreciate you guys having me on too. Like, it's crazy to talk to human beings that aren't 2 and 5. And
oh man.
Yeah, put your ones up.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for being here. We do really appreciate it, and we hope to have you back on maybe
anytime. Let me know.
In a few weeks.
Cool.
Excel, where can people find you? Where can they check you?
So there's about, I think, 5 or 6 mixes that were live streams that are up on Mixcloud and on my app. If you go to the App Store and search DJ XL, the app is free. All of the mixes are there. I think 4 out of the mixes are all vinyl, which has been fun.
Nice.
And then I'm going to do a live stream. I'm going to play an hour this Saturday from 2 to 3 p.m. East Coast time for this Synergy Philadelphia event, which is a fundraiser for healthcare workers, homeless, women's shelters, and cancer patients. And that's me, Active, Gary O, Mike Nice, Jazzy Joe, and like a bunch of other like Philly homies. So I'm gonna do that, and then I'll be live streaming as well a little more throughout this whole time. I just don't have a set schedule. So
word up.
Word.
Well,
yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Definitely.
Yeah, thank you for having me, man.
Spreading the knowledge,
Great.
all you guys.
Indeed.
Thank you all.
Can I get one?
guests.
Can I get one? Honored to be among you guys.
No.
Come on.
Feeling is mutual.
Sean, you want to say something?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to plug one thing. So super short, super sweet. I'm doing a live stream tomorrow. I normally do Tuesdays noon to 2, Thursdays 5 to 7, and Friday tomorrow specifically. I'm partnering with a hotel, boutique hotel here in Baltimore called the Revival Hotel. Shouts to my man, Jason Bass. Thank you, Impulse, for the connect on that one. But Kiss Tomorrow Hello is his brand, Revival Hotel. We're going to be live streaming from the Revival Hotel's Facebook page, and Topside is the name of the venue, their Instagram page. Rather than taking tips for myself, I don't need it. I'm trying to make sure I give back to my city. So I'm taking every single dollar from tomorrow, 5 p.m. EST until midnight on Monday, and putting that to the Baltimore Restaurant Relief Fund. That way, anybody in our industry that's affected in this city, they're doing micro grants to try to make sure you can make up some of that lost income that's not coming back. So please share that. Hopefully see some of y'all that are in here in the chat and the views on the live stream tomorrow. That's what I got.
Make sure to take some shots too, man. For
all the
donations.
Man, I can't get away from it now.
I got one too, I guess. It's just
All
reminding
right.
me.
Once again, thank you, CFLO, XL, Impulse,
Yeah.
EvilOne, Tim
Thank you,
Nice. That's it for the 9 at 9. Make sure to come back. See us every Thursday night starting at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can rewatch the episode on our Facebook and YouTube pages @Beat Refinery. Also, for all our students tuning in, we're now offering virtual online DJ classes. So if you want to learn how to mix, scratch, and make music, visit beatrefinery.com. Everyone watching at home, please don't forget to click that share button if you like what you saw tonight. Again, next week's episode, we're going to talk about tour DJs. So peep out on that. Tune in. We'll catch you all next week. Stay safe. Signing out.
Yeah.
Peace out, guys.
Peace.
Peace.